beat the whole damn thing. There you go.
Good evening. Welcome to the March meeting of the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission. This meeting is being recorded, televised, and viewable on Swiftel Channel 19, ITC Channel 168, or Brookings County YouTube channel. I will call this meeting to order. Which one? We'll go to this next. Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. Do I have approval of minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any items to be added to the agenda by commission members and staff?
Just our normal staff report.
Are there any citizens to schedule time with on the commission agenda for an item not listed? Seeing none. Any disclosure of conflicts of interest, relationships to applicant, or ex parte communication?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a conflict with the SCJ Farms. So
Okay. May I have approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time we'll convene as the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission. Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission is a 9-member commission whose function is to recommend approval or disapproval of land use plans, zoning ordinances, subdivision plats, and amendments thereof to the Brookings County Commission. The commission makes its recommendation based upon the adopted comprehensive plan for the physical development of the unincorporated areas of Brookings County. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. After a motion is approved and seconded, it is open for debate. Those supporting the motion shall in turn give their reasons. Those opposing the motion shall then offer their reasons. After everyone has been given a chance to be heard, the commission shall recommend approval or disapproval based on the testimony and information presented. Simple majority vote of the quorum of members of the Planning and Zoning Board in attendance is required to forward the recommendation. Consideration of plats. 2024 plat 002. Plat of lots 1A and 2A of Cunningham Addition in the north half of the southwest quarter of Section 13, Township 111 North, Range 51 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Vanderwall and Kuyen. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, 2024 plat 002, Terry Cunningham was replatting a portion of his existing farmstead and combining it with farm ground for a 37-acre parcel. The balance of the farm ground has access off 465th B Avenue and is owned by a family member. The 37-acre parcel meets the size requirements for new residents to be built on. And there is an access easement noted on Lot 2A for access to Lot 1A, the existing farmstead. And the plat meets the requirements of the 2016 Comprehensive Plan for the unincorporated rural area of the land use statement on page 24 of the Comprehensive Plan. This is the plat. Right here, 1A is the one they're making smaller and combining it with 2A right here for 37 acres. Here's the access easement to go to the existing farmstead and the rest of the access for Lot 2A. And the rest of this north half of the southwest quarter has access over here off 465B Avenue, which is on the east side of the property. A beacon map with a plat overlay on it. The original Lot 1 was where the blue line is right there. They're vacating that and calling it 1A to making it where the red line is now, where his property lines will be. So change would be on the west and northwest sides of his property. The east property line stayed the same. This is the beacon map of the existing Lot 1. The beacon map of the rest of the quarter, the 74 acres, I believe it is. So the applicant is not here this evening, and that's all that I have.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. We will remind that you have 5 minutes per person to say what you need to say. Any proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? This time we'll close the public hearing. Any additional comments or questions from the board? Okay, and we call the vote.
Bartley,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Dietrich,
Aye.
Starhog,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Troyan,
Aye.
Jensen, and Kleinjohn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we'll move to the consideration of 2024 pre-plat 002. Primary plat of lots 1 and 2, Block 3, Sunset Point Addition in government lots 3 and 4 of Section 22, Township 112 North, Range 47 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, we gotta wait. Yeah, we don't vote yet.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just staff report.
Okay.
Right. Did you read that?
Yep.
Flat? Okay.
Okay. Yep, staff report.
2024 pre-plat 002, Lake Dreams LLC by Preston Metler has submitted a preliminary plat for lots 1 and 2 of Block 3 of Sunset Point Addition on Lake Hendricks. Lot 1 contains 44,227 square feet, and Lot 2 contains 21,543 square feet, meeting the minimum size requirement of 20,000 square feet. The lots are non-lakefront lots. The plat shows the setbacks are 25 feet from the road, 25 feet from the rear, and 8 feet from the side yard. Utility easement, road access, and elevations and setbacks as noted. The proposed development is located on the southeast side of Lake Hendricks, and there is no existing sanitary sewer system in that area of the lake, and all the lots are being serviced by individual on-site septic systems. Also shown is a future expansion phase with a road, cul-de-sac, and 12 more additional lots drawn in. That is not being developed at this time. Only lots 1 and 2. The plat meets the planning requirements of the Brookings County Subdivision Ordinance, the Lake Park Zoning Ordinance, and the 2016 Comprehensive Plan for the unincorporated rural area land use on page 11 for development of lakes existing land use. Here's his preliminary plat showing the lots 1 and lot 2. This is South Lake Hendricks Drive coming up from the south and goes around to the east and to the west here. This is his new lot. Right now, this is farm fields in there. These are the 2 lots that he is platting right now. His future lots development in the future would be this road right here coming off of East Lake Hendricks Drive with a cul-de-sac, and the other lots that are proposed to be drawn in there, but they're not doing that. It's only for the lots 1 and 2. This is the beacon map showing the large area, which should be primarily north of the waterway. Right here is where and right here in the corner, the 2 lots where he wants to develop. Just the beacon map showing the yellow Lake Park zoned area. Just another beacon map there. The applicant is not here this evening, and that's all that I have.
This time we'll open the public hearing. You have 5 minutes to speak your piece. Any proponents? You can come up to the speaker and clearly state your name for the recording.
My name is Michelle Dale, and we're here tonight to express our concern regarding the replatting of lots 1 and 2 in Sunset Point. These lots are directly south of our property. When we purchased our land, there were covenants in place. We followed these covenants, but since then, the building around the development has been a free-for-all. We've heard that this proposed building on these new sites is a very large industrial-type building with sidewalls in excess of 14 feet. We're in a lake community. I realize that these aren't lakefront properties or lots, but it's a lake community. It's a neighborhood where people come to enjoy quietness and lake views. Our primary concern is traffic safety. With this large building, we fear that it's going to block the view for traffic coming in from the south and the east. We don't want to stop development. I mean, we get that. We understand development. However, we do feel that there needs to be some guidelines in place on the size of buildings and the types of buildings that are going into lake communities. We also have a question about this land. Right now, it's farmland. We have not been notified that it's been rezoned from ag to commercial or residential, so that's the question that we have too, is has it been rezoned? Because if it has been, we have not been notified, and we live directly across the road. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that property has been zoned Lake Park since the zoning went into effect with the zoning map. So that has been zoned Lake Park since the zoning map was adopted for the county. Even though it's farm ground is an allowed use in the Lake Park area. So when you purchased your lots, it had already been rezoned, or been zoned, not rezoned, been zoned to the Lake Park district.
And we did sign an agreement, a right to farm, so it was considered farmland?
That's for any new house that's built in the county, whether
Okay.
you build it on the lake
Okay,
or in the country.
all right. We appreciate that information. We still stand our concern, though, with the traffic safety. Thank you.
Yep.
Any proponents? Then are there any opponents? Saying none, we'll close the public hearing. Any additional comments or questions from the board?
Just one comment. It says in here in the report from Richard, that says the proposed settlement is located on the southeast side of the lake, Hendricks. There's no existing sanitary sewer system in this area of the lake, and all the lots will be serviced by individual on-site septic systems. I just want to note that that's what we stated in this particular Lake Park district, that we find that there's no existing facility. So it doesn't go back to harm us later.
And this is just on the preliminary plat.
I understand, but
Okay.
the statement is in here, so I want
Yes.
to make sure we
Yep.
understand that it's there.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Can we read the findings of facts? Okay. So then we just vote?
Just vote.
Okay, call the vote.
Paulson,
Aye.
Dietrich,
Aye.
Starhog.
Aye.
Vanderwall. Erickson,
Aye.
Troyan,
Aye.
Jensen, Bartley,
Aye.
and Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 3, yep.
Okay, plat of lots 1 and 2, block 3, Sunset Point addition in government lots 3 and 4 of section 22, township 112 north, range 47 west of the 5th prime meridian, Brookings County. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Get that? Yep. Okay, we did that. Okay, we have a staff report.
Yep, this is 2024, plat 003, Lake Dreams LLC by Preston Mittler has submitted a plat for lots 1 and 2 in Block 3 of Sunset Edition on Lake Hendricks. Lot 1 contains 44,227 square feet. Lot 2 contains 21,543 square feet, meeting the minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet for the non-lake, and these are non-lakefront lots. The proposed development is located on the southeast side of Lake Hendricks, and there is no existing sanitary sewer system in this area of Lake Hendricks. The 2 lots would be serviced by individual on-site septic systems. Sections of the subdivision ordinance would need to be waived by the Planning Commission unless the board sees a need for them, or Section 4.01, 4.04 curb and gutters, and Section 4.05 sidewalks of Article 4 required improvement prerequisite for final approval, as they were not in the earlier developments, and the preliminary plat was just approved this evening on March 5th, 2024. And the plat meets the requirements of the Brookings County Subdivision Ordinance, Lake Park Zoning Ordinance, and the 2016 Comprehensive Plan for the Unincorporated Rural Areas on page 11 for developed lakes existing land use. This just shows the final plat for these 2 lots. It does not show the other preliminary ones. So this is just for lots 1 and lot 2 in Sunset Point Edition of Block 3. This lot 1 is 21,543 square feet, and lot 2 is 44,227 square feet. This is just the beacon, the plat overlay on the beacon map. This is lot 2 coming around East Lake Hendricks Drive to the north and to the south. This is lot 1, just bordering the draw water area on the south side of the property. This is the beacon map. This is where it's showing the big parcel the way it is right now. This is the yellow area that is already zoned Lake Park zoning. It's just another beacon map showing of the property. That's all that I have, and the applicant is not here this evening.
At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Any proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any additional comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, we can call the vote.
We'll need a motion for those 2 exemptions for that.
I'll make a motion to remove the sidewalk statement on the plat
And the curb and gutters.
and curb and gutters. We don't need 2 motions.
No, you can put it
Just
all
all
in
in one?
but- Yep.
Okay, yeah, to remove the sidewalk and to remove curb and gutter as well.
All in favor? Okay, discussion first? Seeing no discussion, we can call the vote.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Storhog.
Aye.
Vanderwall. Aye. Erickson.
Aye.
Troyan. Jensen. Bartley.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
And Kleinjot.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes to waive the requirement of curb and gutter and sidewalks. That'll be the motion as amended for the final plat?
Okay, you need to call the vote then?
Yes. Yeah, I just did it. That was the vote on the amendment.
So this is motion as amended.
Okay.
Other vote.
This will be a motion to approve the final plat as amended, waiving the sidewalk and gutter requirement. Storhog.
Aye.
Vanderwall. Erickson.
Aye.
Troyan.
Aye.
Jensen. Bartley.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
And Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Now we go to the Board of Adjustment.
Yep.
Is there a statement I gotta read about that?
Yep. Should be right.
Back. Okay. I thought maybe it was on the back of that.
There it is.
Will now convene as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board which has the power to hear requests for variances, conditional uses, appeals from ministerial decisions of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of 2/3 of the full board membership of the board, 6 votes, is necessary for approval of a variance or an appeal of the zoning officer. The concurring vote of the simple majority of the board members present and voting is necessary for approval of a conditional use permit. In accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, we require a motion to approve a request before the request can be debated. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. The board, under specific powers granted it by the state, shall authorize variances from the zoning requirements where special conditions existing on the land will result in unnecessary hardship for the applicant. Financial disadvantage to the property owner shall not constitute proof of unnecessary hardship.
So you'll turn it over to the Chair, Chad Ford, at this time.
I'll now turn it over to the Chair, Chad Ford. You know where we are? Just read that.
Agenda item number 10.
Okay.
Agenda item 2024, variance 001, Arian Block has made an application, 2024, variance 001 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, Area Regulation Number 1, Lot Size. The property is described as the south 480 feet of the west, 474 feet of the southwest, 1/4 of the southwest, 1/4 of Section 2, Township 110 North, Range 49W, Aurora Township, located at 47606 209th Street, Aurora, South Dakota 57002. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Dietrich, second by Jensen. Richard, would you read staff report?
Yes, 2024 variant 001. The applicant has reapplied for the same variance that was granted on August 4th, 2020. 2020 variant 008 to build 21 feet outside of the permitted buildable area of a historical school site that had expired on August 4th, 2023. The site was the original Fountain School site built in 1879, 1 acre square, which is 209 feet by 209 feet, and is located in the southwest corner of Section 2 of Aurora Township. The Brookings County Planning Zoning Commission confirmed it was an original 1 acre square site and permitted the use for single-family residence at their meeting on November 7th, 2017. The original school parcel was sold in 1920 to the adjoining landowner who owned the rest of the southwest quarter. The land was sold several times over the years: hog confinement barns, grain storage, and farm buildings were located on the property. The 5.66 acres were split off in 2002 to include the historical school site with the hog barns, grain bins, and farm buildings. The applicant purchased the property in July of 2020, and he has cleaned up the property and built a shed. Some things to consider. The 21-foot variance would allow the expansion of the minimum lot area that was granted by the board on November 7th, 2017, for the original size of the lot. The proposed variance for the resident will exceed the setback requirements of 133 feet from the township road, which is 476th Avenue, and 150 feet on the township road, which is 209th Street. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on February 20th and 27th, 2024, and letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, the Aurora Township Chairman and Clerk, and the Brookings County Highway Department. Here's the variance application. This is site plan. The setback to the current, where the 1 acre site is, a little bit off scale, and this is, he wants to build 230 feet to the edge of the house from each way from the township road and the county road. This is the former beacon map with the 1 acre square where the boundary is for the 1 acre right here. This was when he purchased the property with the grain bins and other outbuildings and equipment that was on there. This is the beacon map the way it is today. This is where his current shed is. This is the approximate location where his asking to build his house is. Cleaned it up and planted trees around the property. This is looking from the driveway on 209th Street towards the west. This is looking from that same driveway looking towards the east. This is looking north from 209th Street. The wheel right here is at 230 feet from this center of 209th Street. This is looking to the east, and the wheel is at 230 feet. Orange wheel, it mixes in real good with the orange equipment right there, so it's kind of hard to see. But right on the edge of the lift equipment is where the wheel is. This is just looking from the intersection of 476th Avenue and 209th Street, looking back towards the building site. This is just looking north on 476th Avenue. Clear vision either way, so that's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. Would the applicant please step forward? Clearly state your name into the mic.
Aryan Block.
Do you have anything to add to Richard's report?
No.
Is there any questions from members of the board at this time? You can go back to your seat if you want, Aaron. That being said, there, I'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts?
This one I'll read in its entirety, and for the rest of the variances this evening, we'll just read the highlighted areas. Bear with me on this one. Brookings County zoning variance 2024, variant 001, an application for variance have been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as a Brookings County Board of Adjustment. A copy of the application being attached hereto. Such application being made by Aryan Block regarding the following real property: the south 480 feet of the west 474 feet of the southwest 1/4, southwest 1/4 of Section 2, Township 110 North, Range 49 West, Aurora Township. After due notice, a public hearing have been held on the application on this 5th day of March 2024. Number one, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finding that the strict application of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would produce undue hardship, that such hardship is not shared generally by all properties in the same zoning district and the same vicinity, that the authorization of variance will not be substantial detriment to the adjacent property, and the character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance, and that the granting of such variance is based upon reasons of demonstrable and exceptional hardship as distinguished from variations for the purpose of convenience, profit, and caprice. Number 2, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further find that the condition or situation of the property concerned or the intended use of the property is not so general or reoccurring of nature as to make reasonable, practicable the formulation of a general regulation to be adopted as an amendment to the zoning ordinance. Number 3, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finding that the written application of the petitioner demonstrates that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or buildings in the same district. That literal interpretation of the provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of this ordinance. That the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, that the granting of the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the ordinance to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Number 4, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finding that the reasons set forth in the application justify the granting of the variance and that the variance is a minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and the intent of the Brookings County zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Number 5, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, shape and size of the original Fountain School lot is 1 square acre. B, the Board of Adjustment already verified that the 1 square acre site should retain building rights on November 7th, 2017. C, the best use of the remaining 4.66 acres is residential as it is directly adjoins the 1 acre of Fountain School site in the southwest corner. The 4.66 acres is not large enough to build a residence by itself, but when combined with the original 1 acre school site, a residence will meet the setback requirements. D, therefore granting this variance only makes the previously determined eligible site closer to conforming in terms of the lot area, which is the setbacks. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the above petitioner a variance for the above described property as follows. Build a residence 21 feet from the original 1 acre Fountain School site boundary. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in 5 above, and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for constructions consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated this 5th day of March, 2024.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chairman, I concur with the findings of fact.
Thank you, Mr. Bartley. Richard, would you call the vote?
Klein John. Vanderwall. Erickson. Troyan.
Aye.
Jensen. Bartley. Paulson.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, agenda item 2024 variance 002, James A. Ness has made an application 2024 variance 002 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance Article 4, Section 4.08 sanitary sewers of the Brookings County subdivision ordinance. The applicant requests to create a subdivision within the Lake Hendrick Sanitary Sewer District without connecting to existing sanitary sewer facilities within the Lake Hendrick Sanitary Sewer District. Their property is currently described as Block 1, Hanson Edition, in the north 1/2 of the northwest 1/4 of Section 15, Township 112, North, Range 47W, area to be known upon plating as Homesteads at the Marsh Edition in government lots 2 and 3, Section 15, Township 112, North Range 47W, Lake Hendricks Township. Is there a motion? Motion by
Second.
Vanderwall. Who had the second? Paulson. Second by Paulson. Richard, would you read staff report?
Yes, 1 second. Yes, 2024 variant 002. James Ness has applied for variance to the Brookings County subdivision ordinance, Article 4, required improvements prerequisite to final approval. Section 4.08, sanitary sewers, to be able to have individual septic systems installed on his proposed 18-lot development of non-lakefront lots on the north side of Lake Hendricks. His preliminary plat, 2024 pre-plat 001, was approved on February 6, 2024. As it met the preliminary plat requirements and would need to tie into the existing sanitary sewer system. The applicant has applied for a variance due to the cost of infrastructure requirements, distance to the hookup, to the 4-inch line, and lack of grants and low-interest financing to help with the investments. Questions the board you will need to consider are: 1, as stated in section 4.08, sanitary sewers of the subdivision ordinance, where in the opinion of the Planning Commission, a public sanitary sewer is reasonable, acceptable, or available for the proposed subdivision. The subdividers shall construct a sewer system to adequately serve all lots and connect the subdivision to the public system after the Planning Commission and the South Dakota Department of Natural Resources, aka DANR, SDANR, has approved the collection system where lots can approve the collection and treatment system. Where lots cannot be served by the extension of an existing public sanitary sewer, the subdivider shall obtain approval of the lot size for individual septic tanks and disposal fields from the zoning officer in accordance with the established rules and regulations of the South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources, otherwise known as DANR. Is the proposed development reasonable, accessible, or available to the sanitary sewer system? Number 2, when you, the board, voted to rezone the property, was your decision to rezone the property based on the fact that the future development was intended to hook up with the sanitary sewer system as stated in the 2016 Comprehensive Land Use Plan for Brookings County that was included in the staff report for the rezoning? Do the reasons stated for the variance meet the conditions as stated in the subdivision ordinance? Section 1.05, variance of the subdivision ordinance, exceptional conditions. A, general, the Planning Commission, serving as a Board of Adjustment, may grant variance to the provisions of these regulations, but only after determining that: 1, there are unique circumstances or conditions affecting the property; 2, the variance is necessary for the reasonable and acceptable development of the property in question; 3, the granting of the variance will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the adjacent property, and number 4, the variance will not permit or encourage uses contrary to the zoning regulations. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on February 20th and 27th, 2024. The Hendricks Pioneer on February 20th, 21st, and 28th, and the Elkton Record, White Tri-City Star, and the Volga Tribune on February 22nd and 29th. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, Lake Hendricks Township Chairman and Clerk, Brookings County Highway Department, City of Hendricks, Lincoln County, and the Lincoln County Highway Department. Here is the variance application. There's a letter to the board that was included with the application from Mr. Ness. A letter from the City of Lake Hendricks. This was from his engineering firm on the proposed estimated cost of hooking up to the sanitary system. This is a preliminary plat that was approved showing the 18 lots with block 1 and block 2. That was approved in February. This is the beacon map, just showing the proposed lots overlaid on the map here. And this is just showing the property with the yellow area that is rezoned to Lake Park. As you can see, the rest of the property over here was not. That is in natural resources and ag. As, originally, this farmland was not included when the land use plan was developed in the mid-70s and the zoning map was adopted. The lake park did not extend out. It only went out to the existing development that was there at that time. This is just the beacon map showing the property. That's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. Would the applicant please step forward, clearly state your name into the mic?
Good evening. James Anes.
Do you have anything to add to Richard's report at this time?
One question I have, I'm not part of the South Dakota Sewer District. That's Camara Beach. That's a whole different development or district than what I am in. And also, the area that I'm looking at, they cannot tap into the existing sewer district, even on the Minnesota side. I have to go about a half a mile to 3/4 mile somewhere in there to tap into a 4-inch line. The existing sewer system that is in Camara Beach that says that that's a sewer district, I'm not able to tap in because it's maxed out. I have to, and then the next section is North Shore Drive, which is along the Minnesota side of the lake. That's maxed out too. They've got room for 3 more lots there, and that's further down the line. So I have to go all the way to the city limits to get to the 4-inch line to tie in. I cannot go anywhere else. I have to tie in my own line with it. And I guess my concern is there is a need in our community. As you saw, someone else is already starting to try to develop on the south side of the lake. I'm looking at the north side of the lake, and I guess I struggle with the concept that 18 lots and I have to have the sewer system hooked up when I can't have a septic system. If the vote goes against me, is the city of Hendricks is looking at, they were not able to bring it up to the city council. They're looking at ideas. They were asked, would you consider going, asked you folks, would you consider going to a smaller, if I put in a sewer system, would you consider going to a 10,000 square foot so it can be cost prohibitive? I know it says 20,000 for a septic, but you're not allowing me to have a septic right now the way it stands. So I'm just asking those 2 things, if that is also something to consider if you don't vote for the septic system, if there's an extension or whatever. Did I make myself clear?
Is there any questions from members of the board at this time?
Where is the city limit line there, Jim?
Boy Scout Hill, you know where the new campground was built? For anybody that lived up there, it's where Steve Hemmingson used to live.
Steve's on the end of it?
Yep, that's where I have to tie in.
That's the 4-inch limit right there.
That's the 4-inch line where I'd have to go to, yes. And am I correct that I'm not part of a sewer district right now because it's only Camara Beach that has
Correct.
it?
Yep. You would have to hook down into the main
Right,
line in the city of Lake Hendricks, which is a little bit farther to the east here of this road. We can't see it on our map because it's not printed on there.
so that's the only way I can hook into the sewer, to go that distance. And I just look at, the revenue, I know that doesn't mean anything, but I look at the tax dollars that'll be created there by having 18 homes. And these homes are not going to be, they're going to be homes that are, we're going to do it right. That's all I got to say.
Mr. Chair. As far as for asking for variance for the smaller size, Luke, you can help me out here, but that would also have to be improved by the South Dakota Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Correct, as far as for the smaller size, according to our ordinance, all lots have to be 20,000.
This is Luke, at First District Association of Governments. I'm just trying to play catch up with your zoning ordinance at the same time, but yes, the, minimum 20,000 square foot is in administrative rules from the state of South Dakota DANR. I don't know of scenarios where they've granted exceptions to that for allowing septic tanks. I was trying to hear if the intent was to allow smaller lots if it was connected to the sanitary sewer district,
To the sewer district.
and I'm not sure if that was the question or not. If that was the case,
Yes,
I
that was.
I'm looking up your ordinance now to do a little bit more digging on that. There are some places that do allow that, and I'm just checking to see if yours does.
While you're, Luke, this is Mike. Partly while you're looking at, give us a rundown of whether a variance is appropriate for this to go to septic systems versus a hookup.
Well, I'll look at, I first want to make the point that, I'll go to the first question that I was looking up.
Sure.
And I am looking at, I'm not 100% sure that I've got the right ordinance here, but I'm looking at ordinance 2018-03, which I think updated all of the Lake Park ordinance, and it leveled out the minimum lot area to 20,000 square feet across the board. So it looks like the minimum lot area is 20,000 square feet in the Lake Park district, regardless of if it's attached to a sanitary sewer district or not. I will admit that that's different than some other counties that will allow less if they're attached to a sanitary district, but that's what your ordinance says right now. So I deflected that first question, I deflected the second question to answer the first. So in order to make that would be an ordinance amendment. It would be something that you see in other communities. It's just not in this particular county, but you do have sanitary districts around this lake and Ponset where maybe you'd look at a different standard. Now let's answer your other questions about the appropriateness of a variance in this case. A lot of what I am seeing here, and again, board, you get to make the call on this, but a lot of what I'm seeing here is financially driven. And there is a state Supreme Court case out of Huron that indicates that financial reasons do not indicate a hardship for granting a variance. I guess what I'm saying is that it probably does not indicate the need for a variance, but I do recommend you take a look at, and this is not going to answer your question, but it's going to give you guys more to ponder, is in the staff report it was pointed out that the first question, as stated in section 408 of the subdivision ordinance, where in the opinion of the planning commission, a public sanitary sewer system is reasonably accessible or available to the proposed subdivision, the subdivider shall construct a subdivision sewer system to adequately serve all the lots. So the highlighted portion, and I think your staff did a really good job of indicating the highlighted portion, we're operating under the assumption that the Planning Commission made that determination, that one is reasonably accessible at both the time of approval of the preliminary plan and concept plan, as well as when they made the decision to rezone the property, which indicates that property, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't find it, but that it would be able to hook up to the sanitary sewer system. So I'm doubling back to say that the real question is whether or not a variance is necessary. And if the board intended when they rezoned this property that it would be connected to the sanitary sewer district. There's my answer, but a non-answer.
Well, and again, the prohibitive there is shall construct a subdivision sewer system. We're in the opinion of the planning commission is where we all got to drop our line here and talk about it for a minute. We didn't talk about whether our opinion was that there was anything close because we didn't really understand that there was a district, that it wasn't going to be reasonable without the district itself didn't anticipate it would ever access this part of or expand the district. So is it reasonable to expect the district to expand? Well, the district has basically said in their thing is, well, you know, it's not in our plans, but if you want us to do it, this is the expense and you got to do it, and you take some engineering and whatever the case is. So reasonably to me is there wasn't a district he could hook to. Not a question of cost, just there wasn't a district he could hook to that the district had anticipated expansion. So therefore, it wasn't accessible. It wasn't reasonably accessible to this subdivision. And therefore, I don't know how you would handle it. If the group decided they wanted to grant the variance, well, that's one thing, and the variance is subject to lawsuits. If the board tonight made, and I don't know the vehicle we would use for it, if it is a motion, majority of planning commission has made an opinion that the sanitary sewer system is not reasonably accessible to the proposed subdivision. And that's more of an amendment than it is a variance to the original zoning ordinance. Would that, and if it passed, if it did not, I think we're dead in the water. We don't need we don't even need a variance at this point, because you're not going to pass it. So, I don't know where everybody's thoughts are. Is this reasonably accessible to the district? Actually, we know that septic systems will work on the lots. They're 20,000 square feet. They're far enough from the lake. They're far enough from the slough. They meet all DNR's regulations to have septic systems. Do we want to hang our hat on? We don't think it's, it's reasonable or it's not reasonable to expect a subdivision to hook up something that's not there. The district's not there and it doesn't have plans to go any farther. If they did, they'd go across the rest of the lake. They didn't go that way because it wasn't reasonable to do it. So that's the discussion I want to have with you guys is where are we at on this? Do you think septic systems would be adequate or you don't think they would be? First of all, if you don't think they would be, then that's weighs on your opinion. If you think they would be, then your next question is, what do we want to do about it? Do we want to make a motion that we think it's not reasonably accessible? To amend the original ordinance? Because we didn't have a chance to look at it then, basically. I don't think we did. I'm not promoting one way or the other. I'm just trying to give you options here to look at this.
So are the septics okay on the south side of the lake, right?
The ones that are there?
The existing systems are allowed to work as long as they are existing in working condition. On their smaller lots, once those septic systems fail, they need to be replaced with sealed holding tanks. And the other new developments on the south side, like preliminary plat and the plat we did this evening, all the other lots in blocks 1 and 2 all contain 20,000 square feet. So those lots were all large enough to have individual on-site septic systems.
As is this, if you determine it's not reasonable to hook up to it. So that would take a majority vote if it would. And Luke, I don't know if that's an emotion that's appropriate either. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here to figure out this wording we've got in yellow. The opinion of the planning commission. Did we ever give an opinion other than we voted for the rezoning without really considering this?
Again, this is Luke. If you're asking me, I'm trying to figure out a couple of scenarios in which you could craft it if you wanted to make that motion. I think you want to talk this through a little bit more as a board, and honestly, I'd even make sure you open the public hearing and hear public comment ahead of time. But I will say, On the back end, you are the Board of Adjustment. You are quasi-judicial as well as administrative. So you have the ability to make a determination similarly to a court saying that they're throwing out a case because it does not need to be heard. So you've got the ability to make an administrative determination with regards to it. My recommendation, though, would be that if you hear throughout the discussion that there is a interest, we'll say, in waiving this requirement, it would probably be better to make a motion to postpone decision on this decision until a following meeting, in which time the Planning Commission could make a formal determination on whether or not the item highlighted in yellow applies or not. So, long-winded answer to say that the right answer would probably be a motion to postpone to allow the Planning Commission to make a formal determination. Unfortunately, if it's not on the agenda tonight, you probably got to wait till the next meeting.
Okay, I understand that, and at that point, would we withdraw the variance?
I would leave it postponed and determine whether or not a variance is necessary at the following meeting.
What do you guys want to do? I mean, if you want to carry it through, we just keep on moving.
Has there been, obviously the highlighted portion of this page is where the discussion is at. Has there been much research into what is reasonably accessible, what the definition? Obviously, we've got a half mile to 3/4 of a mile on here. What?
That is up to you, the
That's us.
board's discretion and opinion on that. Is there,
What the meaning of the word is.
Gotcha.
This is Luke again. I'll tell you, this is why we try to define everything in an ordinance. Reasonable is not one thing we define. It's left up to the individual boards. I will say that reasonable, unfortunately, with the hat you're wearing at this time, is probably not a decision that the Board of Adjustment makes, though, because it says specifically in your ordinance the Planning Commission has to make that call.
So if we were to postpone this and bring it back next month to the Planning Commission to discuss this and either make a change or not make a change, let's say that there is a change, then it's done. If the Planning Commission decides that it's not appropriate to do it that way, it comes back as a variance request, and the variance request then is subject to a lawsuit.
You're right on the money. If it were postponed to make that formal determination, ineffectively, the question was bypassed. If it comes back for the formal determination to the Planning Commission and you've postponed that variance, then yes, if the application was made, it dies on the vine because it's no longer necessary. You would just make that noted at the beginning of the Board of Adjustment meeting that the variance that was postponed is no longer necessary. We're done. If the determination is made that we still need a variance, it is reasonable, then it comes back and we acknowledge the idea that in the past, a hardship is not economically defined. So then the only option, if it's denied, is for a lawsuit, as you said.
Okay. So I guess our decision tonight then is whether we make a motion to postpone it, referring it back to the Planning Commission for further discussion on this. That would have to pass by a majority vote before that would happen. So someone would have to make that motion. Second, discussion. Do it. If it doesn't happen, then we vote on the variance tonight and go from there.
And if we were to postpone it, we're postponing it for what reason? I'm still not understanding. We're going to get some more clarification of what?
Clarification would be the opinion of the Planning Commission, which we're not sitting as right now.
Gotcha.
We can't make that opinion tonight as a Board of Adjustment. Is that correct, Lou? We're referring it back to,
You guys can.
referring it
you
back
guys
to
can
ourselves, but
discuss-
as a planning commission.
Yeah, you guys are welcome to discuss amongst yourself the appropriateness of having to connect. However, again, it's kind of moot as a Board of Adjustment because you're dealing with the very narrow scope of what a variance is. And it's pretty narrow. So you're welcome to discuss it, but in the end, a determination and anything close to it needs to be shied away from tonight. I will admit, though, I still think it would be a good idea to open the public hearing and allow public comment before you do so.
Fair assessment then. Well, at this point then, we'll pause the discussion for a moment and we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, we'll now close the public portion of the hearing and go back to the board for additional comments or questions. Same spot.
Do you have any comments?
What's that?
Do you have any comments on the action?
I just struggle.
Jim,
sorry.
just have it speak
Yeah,
up to the
I'm
mic, thank
sorry.
you.
I struggle with the concept. I've met everything, but I can't have a septic system no different than the south side. And again, what's the determination? Is it 100 feet or is it 3 miles? I don't know what that determination is, but it is definitely a factor that I think is undue, because if the sewer system that's in place with the South Dakota Sewer District, if I could tap into that, we'd be done. But that's not an option for me. That's not an option.
Do you have any idea on a ballpark what these individual septic systems will cost per lot?
I've asked, and we're looking at somewhere around, I asked one individual who does it, around 15 to 20,000. Now, I don't know if that's what they told me.
Is that for the 10 or the 20,000?
Pardon me?
That's for the 20,000? The square foot.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, if we're going to 10,000, then it'd be the sewer system going in, if that was a possibility.
Which that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. It mainly just has to do with this statement.
Just to note, if it does go through and your variance is voted on and it is failed, is denied, you will need to wait 6 months before you can come back with Plan B or to apply for another variance for that item.
I guess I don't
Right,
have
just,
any-
yep, just letting you know that that's the procedure, or if it gets to a point, if it's tabled for tonight till the next month's meeting, and you can kind of see where the decisions might be going, you could also move to withdraw your motion at that time, and then you could reapply at any time. You would not have to wait for 6 months.
But
So,
he would not need a variance to hook up to the sanitary sewer system?
no, that was, if we can see next month, if you do not go into into the Planning and Zoning Commission and determine what a reasonable cost is, or reasonable, how the wording is there, and if you don't get that figured out, and it goes back to the original variance motion that is on the table this evening, if that fails and is not approved, he has to wait 6 months. But if during discussion during that meeting, he feels that it might, or he could ask the board, possibly, how that outcome might be, instead of going and having it failed and have to wait 6 months to reapply, he could withdraw his variance application, and he could come back the next month with Plan B, whatever.
I got a question. Is it right to ask?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. I guess if it gets voted down and I'd have to wait 6 months to come back and nothing's changed, why would I come back? Why would I?
Yeah, that's just our standard for any denied variance, is the waiting
Yeah.
period of 6 months.
Well,
Just
it just-
letting you know.
It just.
But you
anyway.
could move forward hooking up with the $706,000 option without
Yeah,
coming back.
well,
to us.
I'll tell you right now, it's not happening.
And again, I don't want to tie this into the cost of the system. I want to tie it into the accessibility of the system. It's a system designed to expand that district, and it obviously was not because they didn't put a big enough line in the first place. So the accessibility to me has nothing to do with costs at this
Right,
particular point.
But, you know, I
Not
look
in the
at,
district.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I look at where I'm at. I don't know, just bottom of the line there. How far am I from the water? Probably 200-300 feet. And right across the line, Minnesota, they're putting septic systems right next to a slough. And here I can't do it. And it just doesn't make sense. To me, it's a nice rule you have, but maybe it has to be tweaked a little bit. That's my opinion. Because I've met everything that you need. I'm in limbo because I've met everything you need, but because I have a sewer system that is X feet away or whatever it is, I can't go forward. And I'm dealing with a Minnesota sewer district. In the city of Hendricks, I've talked to the administrator there, and they said, well, what's the upside for us? What's the upside? You're going to tie into us, okay, you have to pay us so much for the sewage, but there's nothing more. We're not getting any tax dollars from you. We're not getting any other revenue. What's the upside for us to even tie in? And that's why I talked about what if we were able to do more smaller ones, 10,000 square foot, and then I can absorb. Again, I know the cost isn't there, but it does make it more affordable for me. But the way it sounds, that's not an option either. So I'm one of these individuals that's hanging there, doing everything right, but can't move forward. And he went to the south side of the lake because they don't have a septic system, no problem.
They don't have a district. You guys want me to make a motion so you can vote on it up or down? Normally, I don't do that. At this point, I'll make a motion that we table the variance request this evening until next month's meeting, and I request that the planning commission address the reasonable request or reasonable request for sanitary or for septic systems.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Got to discuss it first. I'm going to get you guys to talk.
Good luck. What do we have for discussion on this?
Let's give it another month.
I
I think it's something we should probably discuss at the planning and zoning.
I think we need to discuss it, just based on, I mean, in the opening statement of the Board of Adjustment, I know it's not what he wants to hear, but the last line is, financial disadvantage does not constitute proof of a hardship. You're looking at a $20,000 a lot septic system versus a $40,000 a lot septic system. I know the problem is if he sells a lot individually, they put the septic system in as they go, where he has to hook up to the sewer system, he's got to eat it all and add it into the price of the lot, waiting for all 18 at one shot. I mean, if you knew all 18 lots were gonna sell in 6 months, you'd hook up to the sanitary sewer system, but it could be 5 years before they're going.
So tough part about this is that there's no, I mean, what is reasonable? Is it a half mile? 1,200 feet? Is it 100 feet? 5 miles? What is reasonable? That's the part of this job. I like clear-cut lines, and I think he wants an answer sooner rather than later.
I just want a direction. You know? So I'm sorry I'm talking during your discussion.
And just note, when that was put in there, that requirement was put in there for the safety and not the safety, but the keeping the lakes clean from that getting into the lakes. That's why that was put in there. And for all the other ones, in due time, if they get a sanitary district going on the other lakes, that's what it's for the cleanliness and the keep the lakes clean. So that's why that was put into the ordinance like that.
Yeah, and as he stated though, I mean, there's an imaginary wall right down the center of this paper right now that the rules are different on the east side of it than they are on the west side of it. And unfortunately, no matter how different they are on the east side, that doesn't affect what we can do.
Well, this moves it to a next meeting, gives everybody a chance to determine whether it's reasonable or not, determine whether they think that the septic systems are a danger to the lake. I don't believe that they are, but somebody could prove that to me. DNR would have to approve any septic system that goes in there and it's monitored, and I think they'd be a lot safer than some of the septic systems around the rest of the lake that doesn't have a district. This doesn't have a district. Any of the lots that border the slough area, the runoff to the slough, are far enough away from the slough by DNR standards that they're not concerned about it. So, and if it were to leak, sloughs are a filtering system. It probably isn't going to get to the lake for centuries, if ever. So, you know, those are the things we need to talk about. But the other thing is just really simply, this wasn't a district plan by the sanitary district. They didn't build it to handle that. They didn't anticipate that it would be needed because it would be a problem for the lake, which was why the sanitary district went in. So this is a discussion we're going to have and make a determination at the planning commission level, obviously not here. So I'm sorry we can't give you a decision today. If you're willing to wait a month, it is a better choice for you than voting on it tonight. I think we need to have that discussion because everything has exceptional circumstances based on a lot of different things, and this has happened to be, well, as you said, one of those tough ones.
Mr. Chairman, could you call on Luke, please?
Luke, you want to expand on any of this?
I just got
Yeah, I do.
one quick question.
The main thing to keep in mind here is that the Planning Commission has more discretion than the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment has a very narrow set of rules. And one of the most important ones that Planning Board Member Ford mentioned is that money's not one that you consider. The Planning Commission has more discretion to consider that. Reasonableness, that hard line that was mentioned that divides the lake, is something that is more of a Planning Commission question than is a Board of Adjustment question, as is the consideration of whether or not the DANR signing off on the appropriateness of septic tanks versus connecting to a sanitary district that is outside of that state boundaries is also more of a question of reasonableness than it is a question of hardship. So the point is, that is a question probably better handled by a board with more discretion, like the Planning Commission. So you can take that as a recommendation, or you can take that however else you want to. Thanks.
I just got one quick question, and I don't know, maybe it's a dumb one or not, but I guess dumb questions are usually not asked, so on the drain field on the septic system, is there like a mound system, or is there like a drain field, or, you know, I think that percolating factor of what kind of a drain field probably matters a lot, doesn't it?
That would come back, the way it is right now, Brookings County does not issue septic tanks permits. It all goes back to the installer that is approved by the South Dakota Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources. It's on the installer's shoulders to make sure that it's installed to spec according to his license that he is operating under. So if it fails or if there is a violation, it falls back on his license. And the state could come back on him, to the best of my knowledge, according to the administrative rules.
But you touched on the subject that if one goes bad, an existing one goes bad, they need to go to a steel system, is that what you called it?
The sealed system.
The sealed
Sealed
system
system.
on lots smaller than 20,000 square feet.
Okay, that's where the.
On
German
lots
line is.
20,000 square feet and larger, if they have rural water, that's where the 20,000 square feet requirement comes in through the South Dakota administrative rules. If a system fails on a lot that is 20,000 square feet, best of my knowledge, they can repair it and fix it. If it's on lots smaller than that, then they need to put in a sealed holding tank. As far as for the design and whatnot of each particular lot, that is up to the installer and the developer. It's not in the floodplain right there, but it does, you know, different styles could be up to the developer or the homeowner, put in whatever style they want to. The installer has rules that he has to go by. There's percolation tests that they should be done for each site. Whether they do it or not, I do not know, but it's up to the installer to make sure it's installed up to the DEANR rules. And if it's not installed properly and the homeowner questions it and goes to DANR and they come out and look at it, then it's on the installer's shoulders.
I got another question on this. Do we know where the 2.5-inch line goes to as far as coming from Minnesota? Jim can maybe answer this.
Oh, yeah. The 2.5 takes care of Camara Beach. And I think at that point, it goes to a 3-inch line, which takes care of all North Shore, all the way over to where the 4-inch line ties up, where I would have to tie into.
Camara Beach starts on the state line,
It starts right on the, going west, yes.
of the state
Yeah,
line,
Camara, yep,
and that goes all the way to the end lot then as
yes.
well?
As far as I understand it, yes. Yep.
I hate to be a stickler, but right now we're only supposed to be discussing the table. The motion to table. So either we're gonna table it or talk about it.
I think at this point, we,
Well, no,
is that a voice vote or roll call to table it? Do a roll call to table it and move it over to the other one.
for the planning commission.
To the
And then that
next
would
month.
come to discussion at the next meeting, would be under the planning commission, planning and zoning commission, and it would also be under the board of adjustment for table, for what we just tabled for this variance application.
It's the motion.
You ready to call the roll?
Call roll if you would, Richard.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Erickson. Troyan.
Aye.
Jensen. Bartley.
Aye.
Paulson.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Kleinjohn. And Ford.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes to table to April 2nd, I believe, is the next meeting.
I have one question. I am going to the city council. They're going to bring it up there at their discussion as well. The question I have is, what if the city says, we're not going to allow you to hook up? That's, I'm just throwing out there.
Can, but I would postpone your discussion until our meeting.
Okay, okay.
But I'm not a lawyer. You might want to ask your lawyer. Isn't that right, Luke?
I agree that that's something that you definitely, the results of that meeting, make sure and let your staff know, because that may be pertinent to the board's discussion at the next meeting.
What was that?
Up to you if you want to go to.
Council. Yeah, yeah. I just was trying to say, help with your decision process. I told you, but okay, that's fine.
Go either way.
Yeah, I know. Just like you. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that, and thank you for your understanding. Moving on to agenda item 2024 variance 005. Right? Yep. S&J Farms Incorporated by James Pickard has made an application 2024 variance 005 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance. Article 22, Section 22.01, Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation Regulations, Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation Control Requirements Number 6, required setbacks and separation distance. There's established residences. The property is described as the northeast 1/4 excluding H2 and excluding the southeast 1/4, the northeast 1/4 in section 14 Township 112 North Range 50W, Eureka Township, located at 47075 198th Street, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall.
Second.
Second by Troyan. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2024 variant 005, S&J Farms, Inc. by James Pickard has applied for a variance for a swine finishing barn to be 1,750 feet from a residence located in the southwest 1/4 of the northwest 1/4 of Section 12, Township 112 North, Range 50 West, a variance of 10 feet, and 973 feet from a residence located in the southwest 1/4 of Section 12, Township 110 North, Range 51 West, located in the northeast of his operation, be a variance of 787 feet. On both residents are on established building sites and homesteads, and the public notices were published in the Brookings Register on February 20th and 27th, 2024, and the Volga Tribune, February 22nd and 29th. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, Eureka Township Chairman and Clerk, and the Brookings County Highway Department, and the Brookings Dual Rural Water. Here is his application. This is for the setback for a Class B CAFO, which he has also applied for this evening. Here is the setback map. This is his proposed building. This is 973 feet to the residence to the north. This is the residence to the south, where he's 1,750 feet, which is 10 feet short of being in compliance. Here is his beacon map of the property with a proposed barn on it, drawn in. To the south, this is the one to the northwest, or excuse me, northeast. Here's his property where the proposed barn will be built, right in this, to the east of the existing barn. This is the residence that is 1,750 feet away, and this is the residence that is 973 feet away. This is, there's two houses there right now. The old house is not being used. The new house is a cement dome house. The old house will be, is to be removed shortly. So that is the residence of the new house is where that setback goes. So it kind of cuts right through the middle of them right there. So that's all that I have. The applicant is here this evening, so.
Thank you, Richard. I guess if the applicant want to step forward and clearly state your name into the mic.
I'm Jim Pickard, and I have my engineer here to answer questions, Brian Frederickson.
Have him come on up too, I guess, if he wants. There's gonna be some moving and shaking in here for a little bit, I think, but we'll see where we get. Well, just clearly state your name in the mic, sir.
My name is Brian Frederickson. I'm with Dakota Environmental here in South Dakota.
Thank you. Do you guys have anything to add to Richard's report at this time?
I,
Do you have anything to add to the report as he read currently?
nothing to add, except I have visited with all the neighbors, and I seem to have their blessings.
Okay, is there any questions from members of the board at this time? Seeing none, Take your seats for a second here again. I'll do the public portion of the hearing. Go back to your seat for a second.
Say again?
You can go sit back in the audience for a second while we do the public hearing portion of
Oh,
this.
okay.
Sorry. I'll now open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board at this time?
I'm assuming we haven't heard anything from the neighbors?
We have received no comment, no, from any of the neighbors or the public.
Okay.
Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts?
Yes, I'll just read through the highlighted areas. Variance 2024, variance 005, a variance application for variance have been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. A copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by S&J Farms by James Pickard regarding the following real property: northeast 1/4, except H2, and except the southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 in the section 14, township 112 north, range 50 west, Eureka Township. Located at 4075 198th Street, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on this 5th day of March 2024. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguard. It is contingent upon approval of a conditional use 2024 CU 001. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the petitioner variance for the above described real property as follows: to expand his Class C swine finishing CAFO for 2,400 head, 960 animal units, which was granted on conditional use 2018 CU 005, to a Class B swine finishing operation, CAFO, for 4,800 head, 1,920 animal units, which would be 2024 CU 001, to be 1,750 feet from a residence located in the southwest 1/4 of the northwest 1/4 of Section 21, Township 112 North, Range 50 West, a variance of 10 feet, and 973 feet from a residence located in the southwest 1/4 of Section 12, Township 112 North, Range 51 West, located to the northeast of his operation, a variance of 787 feet. Both residents are on established and existing homesteads, and the required setback is 1,760 feet. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in 5 above, and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County Zoning Director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated this 5th day of March, 2024.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Is that township and range? I see one's range 50, the other one's 51, is that correct?
Yep, it's 50.
Two people showing me what my mistakes here, just a second. Okay, what are you looking at? Okay, the required setback is 1760, and yeah, that's the distance, it's 10 feet off. So that is correct. Any other corrections I need to make here?
Good as long as you got out of my township.
One other thing I'll make note, it says a full board. We are missing one board member this evening. So we have a board member of 8. So 6 out of these 8 people will have to vote for the variance. So just bringing that to your attention. So.
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of the facts are followed, so I concur with the findings of the facts.
Thank you, Mr. Diedrich. Richard, would you call the vote?
Erickson.
You're up.
Roger. Troyan.
Aye.
Storhog.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Kleinjohn. Vanderwall.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes. Need to sign that there.
Moving on, agenda item 2024, variance 007, S&J Farms Incorporated by James Pickard has made an application 2024, variance 007 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for variance, Article 22, Section 22.01, concentrated animal feeding operation regulations, concentrated animal feeding operation control requirements, number 6, required setbacks and separation distance, Township Road, ROW confinement. The property is described as the northeast 1/4 excluding H2 and excluding southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 in section 14, Township 112, North Range 50W, Eureka Township, located at 47075 198th Street, Ruth, South Dakota, 57220. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Troyan,
Second.
second by Diedrich. Richard, would you read staff report?
All right, 2024 variance 006, S&J Farms, Inc. by James Pickard has applied for a variance for a swine finishing barn to be 973 feet from a well located in the southwest 1/4 of Section 12, Township 112 North, Range 51, located in the northeast of his operation, a variance of 787 feet. The well curbing is covered below the windmill tower on an established farmstead. During a visit to the farmstead and visiting with the landowner, he stated that they do not use the well and have rural water that they use. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on February 20th and 27th, 2024, and the Volga Tribune on February 22nd and 29th, 2024. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, Eureka Township Chairman and Clerk, the Brookings County Highway Department, and the Brookings Dual Rural Water. Here is his variance application. Same setback, showing the distance from the well in the house, or from the barn. It's right beside the house, so as you draw the circle, the two intersect each other with the house and the well, so that's why it's the same footage distance there. So this is a location of the property where the well is, from the proposed barn. Showing the property where the proposed barn will be going. There's some pictures. There's the windmill tower showing just to the north of the old house. This is looking at the tower right here. Here's a rock sitting on top of a piece of plywood that is there below the tower. And here's the rural water sign at the end of the driveway showing that they do have rural water service to their property. And the SDA&R logs, well logs, there was no this well was not located, not assigned on that one, so meaning that the well was dug prior to the well log requirement by the South Dakota Department of Agricultural and Natural Resources. And there was no other well on that log when I researched that. So that's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening. You can ask them if they want. Or Brian, do you want to, maybe Brian can represent both? The applicant will have to ask him and see.
Do you have anything to add to his report?
No.
Okay, we'll go with that. Move to the public hearing portion of this. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board?
I just, once again, I don't know if that's township and range is supposed to be what you have it up there. But one said the township was
It's
one.
probably an error on the Republic because it was probably going to be the same for all three of them.
Is it? Okay,
So-
gotcha.
But it will be corrected if it's different on the findings of fact. So.
Okay.
Any other questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts?
Yes, variance 2024, variance 006, application for variance having been filed by the Brookings County Zoning Commission acting as a Board of Adjustment. Copy of the application being attached here too. Such application be made by S&J Farms, Inc. by James Pickard regarding the following real property: the northeast 1/4 except H2 and except the southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 in section 14, Township 112 North, Range 50 West, Eureka Township, located at 47075 198th Street, Bruce, South Dakota, 57220. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on this 5th day of March 2024. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds and determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions of safeguards, contingent upon approval of conditional use 2024 CU 001. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the above petitioner variance for the above real property as follows: expand its existing Class C swine finishing CAFO of 2,400 head, 960 animal units, which was approved by conditional use 2018 CU 005, to a Class B swine finishing CAFO for 4,800 head, 1,920 animal units, to be conditional use 2024 CU 001, to be 973 feet from well located in the southwest 1/4 of Section 12, Township 112 North, Range 50 West?
Yes.
50 West, located to the northeast of his operation, a variance of 787 feet. The well is on an existing homestead that is not being used by the landowner, and they are hooked up to rural water. The required setback is 1,760 feet. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in 5 above, upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated this 5th day of March 2024.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance so long as the findings of facts are followed. Therefore, I concur with the findings of facts.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderwall. Richard, would you call the vote?
Troyan.
Aye.
Storhog.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Kleinjohn. Vanderwall.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, agenda item 2024 CU 001, S&J Farms Incorporated by James Pickard has made an application 2024 CU 001 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a conditional use, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, Conditional Use Permit Number 11, Class A, B, C, and D, Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations. The property is described as the northeast 1/4 excluding H2 and excluding the southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 in Section 14, Township 112 North. That's the one we just did, wasn't it? Oh, look at me go. Flip too many pages. Let's start this over again. Agenda item 2024 variance 007, S&J Farms Incorporated by James Pickard has made an application 2024 variance 007 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance Article 22, Section 22.01, Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation Regulations. Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation Control Requirements Number 6, required setbacks and separation distance. Township Road, ROW confinement. The property is described as the northeast 1/4 excluding H2 and excluding the southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 in Section 14, Township 112 North, Range 50W, Eureka Township, located at 47075 198th Street, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Diedrich. Second by Vanderwall. Richard, would you read the staff report?
2024 variance 007, S&J Farms, Inc. by James Pickard has applied for variance to build a new proposed 51-foot, 2-inch wide by 412 feet long building, 117 feet from the township right-of-way, a variance of 33 feet. When they built their existing finishing building, there was a construction error for the setback as they measured the 150 feet from this middle of 198th Street instead of from the township right-of-way. There will be a link with an office connecting the two buildings together, and the existing proposed building are located on the south side of 198th Street. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on February 20th and 27th, 2024, and the Volga Tribune on February 22nd and 29th, 2024. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, the Eureka Township Chairman and Clerk, Brookings County Highway Department, Brookings Dual Rural Water. Here's his variance application. This is the setback right here. You can see the 150 is the hashed mark line, comes about right in the middle of the building right there, which is about 33 feet. This is his new building. They wanted to line up on the north side. There'd be a link going between the two with an office, a link to move animals from one building to the other, and with an office there also for them to use going in and out of the building. There's the site plan. Just shows the same thing with the link going between here with the office. Distance would be about 117 feet to the building. I have the distance to the grain bins. It's about 97, if I remember right, according to the findings of facts here. We'll note that in just a minute here. Same, the beacon map showing the location of the property and where the proposed barn will be going. Yes, this is just looking on the east side, looking west where the wheel is. It's 117 feet to the north edge of the barn. Where the wheel is right here is where the 150 feet should have come, where the building should have started was right here at this mark. You can see this is the variance distance right there. This is just looking where the proposed barn's gonna go right there, and this is just looking from the driveway on 198th Street, looking towards the south, towards the edge of the building, which is from the right-of-way 117 feet. And that's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening.
Do you have anything to add to Richard's report on this one?
I do not.
Okay. Any questions from board at this time? We'll move to the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, I'll now close the public portion of the hearing and move back. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you read findings, facts?
Variance 2024, variance 007, application for variance having been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment, a copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by S&J Farms, Inc. by James Pickard regarding the following real property. The northeast 1/4 except H2 and except the southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 14, Township 112 North, Range 50 West, Eureka Township, located at 47075 198th Street, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on this 5th day of March 2024. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. It's contingent upon approval of conditional use 2024 CU 001. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the above petitioner a variance for the above described real property as follows. Expand its existing Class C swine finishing CAFO for 2,400 head, 960 animal units, conditional use 2018 CU 005 to a Class B swine finishing CAFO for 4,800 head, 1,920 animal units, conditional use 2024 CU 001 to build the second finishing barn 117 feet from the township right-of-way, and the feed bins 97 feet from the township right-of-way. To be able to link the two buildings together. There was a construction error when the existing finishing barn was built. Setback was measured from the center of the township road instead of the right-of-way. The required setback is 150 feet from the right-of-way of the township road. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in 5 above and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated this 5th day of March, 2024.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance as long as the findings of facts are followed, so I concur with the findings of facts.
Thank you, Mr. Troyan. Richard, would you call the vote?
Storhog.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Klein John. Vanderwall. Erickson. Troyan.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Try this again here now. Agenda item 2024 CU 001, S&J Farms by James Pickard has made an application 2024 CU 001 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for conditional use, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, conditional use permit number 11, Class A, B, C, and D, concentrated animal feeding operations. The property is described as the northeast 1/4, excluding H2, and excluding the southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 in Section 14 of Township 112 North, Range 50W, Eureka Township, located at 47075 198th Street, Bridge, South Dakota 57220. Is there a motion? So moved. Motion by Dietrich. Second by Klein John. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes. 2024 CU 001 S&J Farms Inc. by James Pickard has applied for a Brookings County zoning ordinance, Article 11, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District, conditional use number 11, Class A, B, C, and D, concentrated animal feeding operation. See also Section 22, concentrated animal feeding operation, Section 22.01, concentrated animal feeding operation regulations, Brookings County zoning ordinance, pages 22.00-1, to expand their existing Class C swine finishing operation for 2,400 head, 960 animal units, to a Class B swine finishing operation for 4,800 head, which equals 920 animal units. For Class C swine finishing operation, conditional use 2018 CU 005 was presented on March 22nd, 2018. The Brookings County Development Office has received no complaints since they have been in operation. The engineer's report is attached as a separate document, as it was not included in my report, as just due to the size. It would make it too big, so the engineer report is a separate document. He also applied for 3 variants that you heard and approved this evening, 1 for the setback from a well, the other for a setback from residence, and 3, the setback from the right-of-way. The proposed new 51 feet, 2 inches wide by 412-foot long building will be in line directly to the east of the existing barn with a connecting link and office between the 2 buildings. The nutrient management plan states the manure pit has a capacity capable of holding 365 days of manure storage. The manure will be pumped out on an annual basis and applied by direct injection. A minimum of 400 acres is needed for the manure produced. They have 912 acres available for their manure application. Again, briefly, there was a windmill tower located to the northeast of the proposed site. The applicant applied for a variance, and even though the Department of Agricultural and Natural Resources well completion logs show no records, the well was in the setback area of 1,750 feet, and the well was there prior to the well completion log report requirement. The location of the proposed building is not located in Zone A of the wellhead protection area, or Zone B of the remainder of the mapping area of the shallow superficial aquifer map not included in Zone A, according to the first occurrence of the aquifer materials map in Brookings County, which is Article 16, Aquifer Protection. The aquifer protection material shows that the presence of sand and gravel are greater than 100 feet below land surface for the site, and the property is not in the floodplain. The application includes information required per Article 22, Section 22.01, Concentrated Animal Feeding Control Requirements, Number 9. Information required for the Class C, it should be Class A and B feeding operation, is listed below, which he has all listed in his engineer's report there. Application for the road agreement with the Eureka Township, which is on file, and a letter from Brookings Dual Rural Water that for his water source. The zoning office has reviewed the above documents and has made a site visit to the proposed location. The Planning and Zoning Board has considered Board of Adjustment and incorporates these findings. Number 7, standards for conditional uses found on page 22-17 of the Brookings County zoning ordinance for all permitted CAFOs in Brookings County. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on February 20th and 27th, 2024, and the Volga Tribune on February 22nd and 29th, 2024. Letters were sent to the adjoined landowners, the Eureka Township Chairman and Clerk, Brookings County Highway Department, and the Brookings Dual Rural Water. Here is his conditional use application. Here is his site plan showing the proposed building with the soil boring indicators there with the black circles there. This is the township agreement. This is a letter from Brookings Dual Rural Water. There's a beacon map showing the proposed location of the property right in this area. This is looking from the driveway going to the south, or to the east, excuse me, along 198th. Good clear vision up to the corner. This is just looking down the driveway towards the existing finishing facility. This is looking towards the west. Again, nice clear vision going that way. And this is just looking from 474th Avenue, which is about 3/8 of a mile to the east, looking back towards the west, towards the east end of the barn, where the proposed building would go. That's all that I have, and the applicant is here this evening.
Thank you, Richard. Have anything to add to staff report?
No, not right offhand.
Okay. Hearing that, we'll move to the public hearing portion of things. Is there anybody in the audience is for this? Seeing and hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that is opposed to this? Seeing and hearing none, we'll now close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing and hearing none, Richard, would you read the findings of facts?
All right, since this is the first conditional use of the evening, I have to read this in its entirety. So, Brookings County Zoning Conditional Use Permit 2024 CU 001, Brookings County Zoning Commission acting as a Brookings County Board of Adjustment, a copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by S&J Farms, Inc. by James Pickard regarding the following real property. The northeast 1/4 except H2 and except southeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 in Section 14, Township 112 North, Range 50 West, Eureka Township, located at 47075 198th Street, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. After due notice, a public hearing have been held on the application on this 5th day of March 2024. Number 1, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finding that it is empowered to grant such conditional use under the following sections of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. Article 11, Section 11.01, A Agricultural District, conditional use number 11, Class A, B, C, and D, concentrated animal feeding operation, and that further finding that the grants of the conditional use will not adversely affect the public interest. Number 2, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds and certifies that the following specific rules governing the conditional use requested has been complied with. Article 22, concentrated animal feeding operation, Section 22.01, concentrated animal feeding operation, control requirement number 8. The Planning and Zoning Board has established and incorporates these findings. Number 7, for conditional uses found on page 22, 17, 18, 19 of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. This should be the Board of Adjustment. Number 3, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that satisfactory provisions and arrangements have been made concerning the following where applicable. A, entrance and exits to the property and proposed structure therein, with particular reference to an automotive, pedestrian safety, convenience, traffic flow, and control in case of fire or catastrophe. Will use the existing entrance and exit off 198th Street, Eureka Township gravel road. B, off-street parking and loading areas where required, with particular attention to the items in A above and the economic noise, glare, or other effects of the conditional use on the adjoining properties or the properties generally in the district. No on-street parking allowed. C, utilities and refuge and service areas with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility. Dumpster service for garbage disposal. D, screening and buffering with reference to type, dimension, and character. I have none stated on there. There was a letter from the engineer on building of it that wanted to limit the trees around the building, so it didn't want to interfere with the ventilation, natural ventilation of the building. So that is where they do have some trees planted along the road, some shrub bushes that are there that they could probably extend to the east if they wanted to, but as far as for putting trees around the structure, that is not a requirement in there due to the letter from the engineer. E, signs of fitting and proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic safety, economic effect, and compatibility and harmony with properties in the district. Existing signage allowed and any regulatory signs required for livestock production. F, required yards and other open spaces. None stated. G, general compatibility and adjacent properties and other properties in the district. 2016 comprehensive plan met for the agricultural district. H, roads providing access to the property are adequate to meet the transportation demands of the proposed conditional use. The Board of Adjustment may require the applicant to enter into a written contract with the affected township or other governmental unit regarding the upgrading and continued maintenance of any roads used for the conditional use requested prior to the issuance of a conditional use. Road agreement with Eureka Township is on file. A, any notifications to law enforcement or fire department? None stated. J, any safety inspections required by any inspections by state officials for livestock productions and any building permit inspections. Number 4, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions its conditional use upon the following additional special conditions or safeguards. A, South Dakota Department of Agricultural and Natural Resources, state CAFO permit required. B, best management practice for manure application to be injected at a minimum of 4 to 6 inches in depth. C, approval of conditional of variances 2024 variant 005 setback from a residence, variance 2024-006 setback from a well, variance 2024 variant 007 setback from the right-of-way. Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least a majority vote of its membership, hereby grants the above petitioner a conditional use for the above described property as follows. Expansion of their existing conditional use permit 2018 CU005 for a Class E swine finishing CAFO for 2,400 head, 960 animal units to a Class B swine CAFO for 4,800 head, which is 1,920 animal units. This conditional use is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the requirements and conditions in 3 and 4 above, and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the requirements of this conditional use permit. If this conditional use permit is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated this 5th day of March, 2024.
Are there any additions or corrections to the findings of facts?
I have a question on A. The way this permit states right now, you cannot build an additional driveway to that facility. Otherwise, it'll make your permit invalid, correct? Or no?
Right.
Right. Are you planning on putting a loading chute on the east side of the building? I've bumped a lot of chutes. And to have 117 feet of clearance is a tight squeeze.
We would just put it in there to driveway permit from the local township would be needed. There, I just added a driveway permit would be needed for additional driveway from the township or the Brookings County Highway Department.
Richard, could you hit spell check on Eureka, please? Thank you. And add an S behind Brookings. Thank you.
Is there any additional corrections to the findings of facts?
Mr. Chair, I find that this application meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance so long as findings of facts are followed, so I concur with the findings of facts.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderwall. Richard, would you call the vote?
Bartley. Dietrich.
Aye.
Kleinjohn. Vanderwall.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Troyan.
Aye.
Storhog.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, agenda item 16, department reports.
Yes, sir. Navita got a conditional use permit from us in 2013 to operate their plant. And they've come to us, they want to amend the plant and, they want to, what they're saying is they want to produce up to 450,000 tons of meal and up to 300,000 tons of renewable oil annually. The existing permit, they wanted 462,000 tons of grain and 429,000 of high protein distillers meal and 67 million pounds of renewable corn oil. They would prefer to amend the existing agreement instead of submitting a brand new conditional use permit. And we wanted to check with the board and see what your thoughts are on it. Basically, it looks like it's almost doubling the output of the facility.
So I want to know whether they could amend it or whether they should reapply.
Well, I'm thinking they could amend it, but I'm thinking we want them to do it on a conditional use permit, and we could just add the word application for amendment of a conditional use permit, charge them the whatever we charge for conditional use permits, and but they wouldn't have to start from scratch. We just amend, and then on the amendment part where it says what are you going to do, they would just literally type what I just read to you in there, and come in before us. We have to have a hearing. That's where the 150 would come in. So.
Well, if Luke's all right with amending it, I don't know why we won't.
This is the way it
Yeah,
states. Excuse me, Luke.
Mr. Chair, I'll jump in for just a second here. The question is whether or not you'd require them to even come back to do it, or if it makes sense to have an amendment to their original permit. And the main point is in the notice to clarify the fact that there's only one question, and that's to amend what they're using there or the amount and handle it that way. That way we don't have to ask every single question in the findings of fact. We just focus on the one question that's pertinent. I hope I helped that out.
Clear as mud.
I'm assuming that they would also have to get that approved through the DNR with as close as they are to the aquifer.
Yes, by all means. That's a give me there, automatic.
Yeah.
They've got I'm sure they've got an air pollution permit and stuff like that, and all that has to go through them. We would never get involved in that anyway.
Now, right now, it's only approved for corn oil extraction. They want to be able to bring other products, do the same process with those to get the same byproduct at the end. But right now, it only says for corn oil extraction. So they want to expand the products that they could bring in whether it's soybean or canola or whatever products. I have no idea what the other ones are.
Well, that's why they want the wording, renewable oil extraction.
Right.
See, they've given us the words that they would like in here so that they could do their business. Now, I've got no problem amending the ordinance. I wanted to make sure the board was fully aware of it. I'll work with Luke and we'll follow Luke's guidance and go from there. If that's suffice.
Sounds like a great plan.
Okay, Luke, we'll be in touch with you by email because I know you're gone for the whole month, but,
Sounds good.
and that is the county commission thanks the zoning board for what you do. And, Richard, do you have anything else?
Nope, the public hearing for if you would like to come to that, the county commission will be on March 19th, I believe it is,
I believe that's
Grab
the next
my-
county commission meeting.
for the second reading,
That's
Yes.
the updating of the zoning ordinance that we
for the
passed.
updating of the zoning ordinance, yes. Public hearing will be at 9 o'clock on that date during the county commission meeting, so. Next month, we will have a joint meeting with the city planning commission for some actions for both boards to look at in the joint area. So, and next month, our meetings start at 8 p.m. So we'll have an 8 p.m. joint meeting with the Brookings City Planning Commission on a couple agenda items coming up there. And after that, then we'll be under our meeting agenda items. So I think that's all that I have for right now.
Luke, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Thank you for your help tonight.
Is there any need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Nope, okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Diedrich,
Second.
second by Vanderwall, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, I totally